To bevel in Maya, select your edges, hold down Shift, and select Bevel Edge. All the options are available here in this little box as any other modeling command. If you want to bevel a vertex, for example, you choose the vert, go up here, and say Chamfer vertices. And you choose your width. To bevel in Max, select your edge, and then choose Chamfer. You can drag across your edge, as always, or just choose the box. Select all the options that suit your needs. You can also chamfer vertices the same way. There is no way to chamfer faces. You can also use a modifier to chamfer in Max. So I'll just go up here and add the chamfer modifier. This is controlled either by selecting all edges and then selecting an angle, or I can manually select edges under the stack like this, and I'll go up here and go to selection, selected edges, and now only these are active. I modified the properties here, which is self-explanatory, and you can see the effect. And I can remove this as it is a modifier. To bevel in Blender, choose your edges, press Ctrl B, drag your mouse, scroll your mouse wheel to add or remove loops, and click to confirm. There are also post-beveling or chamfering options. In this case, I'll just add 3 loops like this, and then I can choose how many segments I want after the fact. Adjust the shape if I want it to go in, adjust mitering, and so on, right here. There is also this neat feature where, let's say I want a profile in this corner, and I adjust its custom profile via this drawing here. Of course, I need more segments for it to be more accurate. But after that, I can just adjust this curve, and it will do exactly what I have here. I could add as many points as I want to. And this will always be kept in memory. So let's say I bevel here, it will use that profile by default until I press super ellipse again and modify it. There's also a clamp when beveling, so be careful with this if it doesn't work. For example, let's say I choose this entire face border, and then I bevel like this, but you see clamp is off, and if I press C, then clamp is on, and it knows that this is the maximum point before it starts clipping, so it won't let me pass to this point. But if I press C again, clamp is off, and I can go here and clean up my mesh later if I need to bevel it like this. But I'll just leave clamp on for now. There is another method to beveling using the bevel modifier. So if I go here and use the bevel modifier, it has a few methods of acting. So I just copied this to show the difference. This one is using the angle method, where I just modify this angle, and it will choose which edges to bevel using that angle. Let me just go into wireframe mode. Okay, like this. And I can add more segments here. increase the amount, and so on. There is also a clamp button here, which you need to be aware of, because if this is on, it won't go past, just as before. And you can adjust mitering right here. Sometimes it can be bad, so it's good to keep in mind that you have these options if something goes wrong. Now, the other method, which is really great, is the weight method, where I can tell Blender which edge to use, how much influence of this bevel. So let's say I want to have a variable bevel across this edge. I have a few options how to activate this, but my favorite is just pressing N and going here to the item panel, and I have this mean bevel weight. So now if I increase this, it becomes more blue. Let me just increase the amount here like this, and segments, something like that's enough. And now if I select an edge, just like I did before, let's say I just select these for example's sake, I can either come here and modify just as I shown before, or press Control E, edge bevel weight, drag my mouse and adjust it visually like this, or write a value for it on my keyboard, say 0.2, and let's say from here to here, I do it again and say it's 0.5, and from here to here, it's 0.7, and this is fully 1. So let's say I don't want to use my shortcut, and drag my mouse to the full, and now I have a variable offset, and I can just change these as well here more carefully and after the fact, but it's really sensitive, so 0.1 would be something like this, and I have to adjust it carefully for it to have a nice effect, but it's really worth it. Of course, you can also chamfer vertices as well. So if I have this vertex selected, or these, I just say Control V for vertex, go up here, bevel vertice, and now it bevels like this. Be careful not to confuse this with bevel, simple bevel. So for example, if I press the shortcut for beveling now, just Control B, it will use the edge bevel, because multiple vertices form edges, right? So I'm just beveling normally here. But if I cancel that and just bevel one vertex, nothing happens, because it's still using the edge bevel and I have no edges selected. So if I really want to bevel a vertex, for example, for any reason, I just press Control V, bevel vertices, and drag. Of course, I can adjust this too after everything is done.